thing about it was, you got to think, I guess, we changed the belief system of a lot of people on that base. And the word began to get around what had happened to him. They were all saying, this is your punishment for what you were doing. Peeking around hidden corners, reincarnation, for goodness sake, work of the devil. And so that's what they kept saying, this is what was happening to us because of what we were involved with. I couldn't believe it. I never could. So it ended up anyway, he was in the hospital for a year, 8 months in a body cast. I couldn't even begin to imagine what that would be like to not be able to move for 8 months. But when he was finally put out of the Navy, after he got out of the hospital, he was put out of the Navy and we moved to Arkansas, where we had to build our life all over again. And he was in a wheelchair for 25 years. So during that time, I had to put the idea of hypnosis on the back burner while I was taking care of him and raising a big family. So it was 10 years, now it'll be over 30 years ago, I decided to get back into this. It's like, what do you do now with the empty nest syndrome when the kids are leaving? They're going off, getting married and going to college. What are you going to do with your life? That experience that we had opened a door. I found we could time travel. We could go through time. We could be there in these things. It was a wonderful adventure. And I said, that's what I want to do. That's the kind of therapy I want to do, is take people in past lives. So that's what, when it came time, I started learning some of the newer methods that were now involving imagery and visualization. And as I did them, I was focusing on past life regression and past life therapy. Then I began to develop my own system because I never had any rules or regulations. So my whole training has been just what I have learned myself over the last 30 years. So during this last 30 years, I found a way to contact what I call the source of all knowledge. This is not your normal hypnosis. I think when you take these classes, you're taught by what somebody was taught them, or somebody taught them, and somebody taught them, going all the way back. You never really know why you're doing what you're doing. But because I didn't have that, I was free to experiment. And as I began to develop the technique, I said, why do I have to do those things? Isn't it easier to do it a different way? So that's why I developed my own way of doing hypnosis. And this is what I'm teaching now all over the world, because I found a way. The past lives
Our
are the
classes
beginning,
are still on the website.
the iceberg. And if you read my earlier books, they deal with when I was
Yes,
beginning
Nathan.
what I call
It's
time travel,
definitely the
going back in
speaker
time
making
when the
that
person
noise.
was
He
there in
laughs.
that time period and
My
living
son
what was
will
happening to
soon
them.
watch this
It
video.
was really time travel. That was
He'll
my
think
first
that's
books that I
something
was writing
else.
about those cases that came to me. The people said, how did I find my subjects? I never went looking for anybody. They found me in the hills of Arkansas.
Of course.
But I think they had a lot to do with all of this. Nothing is ever a coincidence. So the first books I wrote were the Jesus books, and then the Nostradamus books came along. But as I developed the technique, I work in the deepest possible level of trance. You have to understand these things, because sometimes I give a lecture, and at the end of the lecture, somebody will say, I still don't understand how you got this information. So that's why I'm trying to give you a little bit of background. But I work in the deepest possible level of trance. And the other methods always say, don't go there. Don't work in the deep level. Strange things happen there. If you read my books, you know strange things happen there. But to me, that's where all the information is and all of the knowledge. So I'd rather work in the deep level. You get the conscious mind out of the picture. It cannot interfere.
This was
And it is
published.
like going through time
That's probably
in
when
a time
YouTube
tunnel.
first started.
The person is
But
there.
those are
They are
that's
that person.
the YouTube channel.
Anything in our time period that did not exist in their time period, they won't even know what you're talking about. They are totally there. So to me, as a curious person, that was really a wonderful way to research history.
Sort of first.
Now, people say they think I'm a psychic or a channel. I'm not. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I consider myself to be the reporter, the investigator, the researcher of lost knowledge. Because as I did this work, I began to get information that had been lost, never known, or forgotten. And I was supposed to bring it back into our time period. That's where my books are. They keep coming and coming, and more information is there. But where my information comes from, and where the healing in my work comes from, is this power that I'm telling you about.
Categorized under education.
That's why I said having a past life regression, anybody can do it that knows how. That's the tip of the iceberg. You're going to get some information, but you're not going to get what is possible. And that's why I go to this other source. The part that I get my information from, I call it the subconscious. But it's not the subconscious the way it's defined by psychiatrists. That's a childish part of the mind. That's the part of the mind that you use when you're doing habits, stop smoking and lose weight. That's not the part that I work with. I call it the subconscious because I didn't know what else to call it. It began coming through over the years, and then I found a way to call it in, and now I work with it constantly. But you may say, if you want to define it, you may say it's the oversoul, the higher self, the higher consciousness. It is so big and so huge, it has the answers to everything. It has total knowledge.
I'm gonna do one of Moji's
It is so full of love.
videos.
It's so big, but yet it cares about each and every person. It's beautiful to work with.
I'm gonna have to
and this is where the healings come from. I'm not doing any of it. I'm just a facilitator. But I see miracles every day in my office now.
She's been a teacher of mine,
because I found a way to call it in during the session, and it does the healings. And I've seen it happen instantly in one session. I have people coming now from all over the world.
Volunteering.
Just for a session. And I don't encourage that because, you know, that's a long way to come. I see lots of cancer cases. I call them they.
Yeah, that's
because I asked them one time, who am I speaking to? What is this? And they say, you may want to say we are the collective. I said, that sounds like the Borg on Star Trek.
Walking with Jesus.
We're the collective. We are a group. And people say, well, maybe you're speaking to their guides and guardian angels. No. The guides and the guardian angels have a purpose, but they're down here. You can get information from them, but not this kind of information. And they say, maybe you're speaking to the ascended masters. That's not what it is either. Because I've been told the ascended masters are just like you. They're beings, they're people. They're the ones who have got enough knowledge, they don't need to come back to Earth anymore. They are over there and doing their job, but they're still in that other part.
So it's like